Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Happy, Healthy Life podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy. What's up, guys?
Yeah. So thank you so much for the host. And, one of the things that we're most passionate about, or the thing that we're most passionate about, is helping people get happier and healthier. We're passionate about helping people achieve their health and wellness goals through having a healthier metabolism. And we're all about giving the truth when it comes to health and wellness. And I think you guys are really going to love today's episode. We've got a fantastic episode. As you guys have heard recently, things keep coming back to brain health, mental health. We know that the brain controls everything in the body, and the guest that we have on today is amazing when it comes to that and helping you guys to be able to achieve the happiest, healthiest life possible. So let's get right into it. Today, our guest is none other than the esteemed Dr. Patrick Porter. He's been on the cutting edge of brainwave technology now for the last 32 years. And so it could be more than that, but, give or take a few, because you don't look that old. But Patrick, welcome to the Happy Healthy Life podcast today. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patrick.
Thanks for having me. I started when I was 3 years old, so that's what.
Is that what's going on here? No. Oh, that's awesome. I'd say your backdrop looks way better than our backdrop does today. For those of you guys who can't see, he's got this beautiful river behind him. Tell us where you're at today.
Yeah, we're at the we're calling it Mystic Pine Sanctuary. We're going to be putting out, basically gatherings for people to come out for a week or a month and really improve their health and maximize it. And we plan on having you guys out here, teaching people about metabolism because it transformed me. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the episode, but this is, I really feel like if you don't get people out of their environment and teach them, some people just won't make that change. And I mean, I could imagine, I think I spoke to you about it when I was going through it. It'd be awesome to have a place for people to go and just experience it. And so this property came available in New Bern. It's only 20 minutes from our airport, and it's going to be epic. We're looking at mini homes and putting in a biohacking sanctuary too, and it's going to be a great place for people to come.
Wow. Well, we can't wait to get out there.
Dolphins swim by too. We might see a few jump up behind me. We get dolphin about every other day or so.
Really? And it's in the river, huh?
We're in the Sound. So when the Outer Banks, we're on the coast side. So if the water's flowing right, it's brackish water. So we get some dolphins swim out there all the time. And usually there's been a pod out there once, about 100 dolphin. It was pretty cool.
Unbelievable. That's so cool. So let's just jump right into it. Obviously, right there on your shirt, it says BrainTap. Let the audience know, obviously you're the creator, the founder and inventor of BrainTap. So what exactly is BrainTap?
Well, when you talk about brain entrainment, what we're talking about is actually how our brain modulates. And what we're finding now is that about every function in the body is triggered some way by brainwave activity. Now, most people just let it run its course. They don't do anything, but now we know we can stimulate it and literally grow the brain or train the brain. We call it brain fitness because we have, we can train the brain to wake up in the morning. We can train the brain to go to sleep at night. And, we use it for education as well, and also to motivate people, and one of the biggest things I think for this audience to think about is our liver is just sitting there with 25 grams of sugar all the time. And a lot of time people think, wow, I'm eating right. I'm doing everything right. Why am I still gaining weight? And they're not eating sugar. But the reality is that 25 grams of sugar is like eating a candy bar. So I like to tell people, if you don't deal with that stress, there's a lot of ways to deal with stress. BrainTap is one of the best ways, but if you can downregulate that stress and stop the liver from just producing a daily event. I mean, some people trigger that stress response 7-8 times during the day. So it's like eating 7 or 8 candy bars without getting the enjoyment of eating them. So the brain regulates not only metabolism as well, it triggers it. So you've heard me say this before, diet is number one. You can't outthink a bad diet. So you got to be eating those real foods and things like that. So I wish BrainTap I could eat just junk food and stay thin and healthy, but that's not the way it works. But a lot of times mood, I tell people the number two thing is movement, right? Your metabolism is so key to that. And I really think we have a metabolic problem, not a physiological problem. It's people are sitting around too much and their body isn't functioning. And then we fall into the category of brain fitness because a lot of people they basically let their brain regulate itself, which means if they get stressed out, they basically dwell in that stress and then they complain about that stress. They talk to everybody about their stress and they basically become really stressed by talking about their own stress. So that's the big thing BrainTap does, but we do a lot with education. I'm the dean of brain-based medicine at Quantum University, and we teach natural medicine doctors to include this into their education format. So anything we can do to educate people, it uses light, sound, and vibration. If people haven't heard of it before, we have about 120,000 users right now, and people love it. Our average user uses it 28 times a month. So they can use it in the morning to wake up. We call it digital coffee. They can use it in the afternoon to reboot, and they can use it in the evening to go to sleep. So we've got them covered. Most people will listen at least once a day if they own the equipment. So it's one of those things that it's just like working out your body, but we're working out our brain.
I love that. No, that's huge. In fact, it's interesting you said that, Patrick, because you think about how many calories are being laid on your mortgage or how many calories are in losing a loved one. There are no calories, but you still end up gaining the weight. So there's a real connection there to that stress and how we modulate that. I know for myself personally, I love starting the day using the technology. That intention that you use to start the day, I think is so critical for a lot of us, especially for a lot of our audience. But it's interesting, you said really doing an evening session a lot of times can be super valuable. Could you expand more on that potentially? Because I know there's a lot of people who struggle winding down, getting that sleep, that healing sleep that we all need to function and be our best, especially for your metabolism too.
Yeah, what we found is that sound and light and vibration, the brain will basically be attracted to it. So think in terms of the earth itself as these resonant frequencies. Like when I'm sitting by the water here, there's 10 hertz frequency being generated by that river behind me. And so if the closer I get to it, the more I'm going to feel relaxed because that's alpha. And then also if we go to the mountains, that 7.8 hertz frequency, that's theta. So we can go to those places and relax and unwind, but most people live in the city. They're not able to get out to those places. So we can imitate that with BrainTap. And what we do at the evening sessions, it's a little different, is we take them there's 4 primary brain waves, and the one we usually operate in mostly when we're awake is beta, hopefully, and that's a reactionary mind. And if we get locked in that beta, it's hard to turn off that brain. So we do through this light, sound, and vibration system. It's an algorithm that I've been using since actually 1986. So as they're listening, learning, seeing, and basically getting into a full body experience, the brain follows it as if they're walking through nature, really getting into those natural states. The body does this naturally. So you don't have to do anything. You basically put it on. But in the evening, instead of waking you up like we do in the morning, those are different. We're actually triggering dopamine, norepinephrine, and cortisol because we need those in the morning to wake up. But in the evening, we don't want to trigger those same brain waves because we want you to downregulate. That's why we call it digital coffee in the morning and nightly quaaludes at night, because you basically zone out and you can relax. And then what we find in our studies, and we have several studies that we've published where we show a 70% improvement in sleep in less than 3 weeks. And that's because of the deep sleep. One of the misconceptions people have about sleep, and sleep is important for your metabolism. So for those people out there, if you're not getting that deep sleep, your metabolism isn't going to reset. And that deep level 4 sleep also detoxes your brain. It opens up the glial lymphomic system and helps you to really get that clear mind that you need the next day to make good decisions.
Yeah, and I think what I love about it, and I'm actually loving right now, getting up in the morning and doing the one that's on the front page of the app, the spiritual visualization. Can't say it, but I really love that, and I like that. I'm glad you said that, because what I've noticed since starting my day with BrainTap is that, I do have more energy. I haven't felt the need to have coffee. And so it just like clicked in my brain that I'm like, I haven't been triggered to first thing, go get my espresso first thing in the morning. And then what I love also, because I love meditation, and meditation is very important. But one of the things that I have a hard time doing is I have a hard time doing meditation first thing in the morning because I'll fall asleep. And so with brain tapping, going through that, I love how you do that because as you're talking through things, I know what's going into my subconscious, and I'm not forced to have to stop all of the thoughts that are going on in my head. And I find that my thoughts calm down going through brain tap versus doing a meditation where I have all these thoughts running through my mind. Can you talk about that and why that is?
Sure. Number one, we're going to use retinal flashing. So your eyes are closed, but the flashing actually keeps the brain awake because we're actually delivering through the ears and the eyes ATP, because that's what light does. When it enters into the bloodstream, the hemoglobin grabs onto those photons and then finds a cell that's weak right now or is lacking in energy, and then it exchanges that photic energy and restarts the Krebs cycle in that cell. So it's waking up your brain. We also showed in using something called the WAVI that when your voltage even goes down when you close your eyes. And we know that about 30% of your brain the networks in your brain will shut down when you close your eyes because it thinks you're going to sleep. It's going to try to power down. So that's a problem for most people when they meditate because you're not powering down. That's why it takes so many years for people to master meditation. So we said, don't worry about that. We're going to do it for you. Just press play. The brain will work with it. And we've been doing it so long, we had to go through trial and error back in the 80s. There wasn't the sophisticated technology there is today to measure things. We had to use skin temperature, respiration, and things like that to actually tell people they were in a relaxed state. And really, we were trying to get people to alpha. But once we introduced this theta technology, the alpha theta rhythm, we could get people into the deep state of theta and then back again with energy. Because when you're coming back, you notice that the lights go a little bit faster right before you wake up. That's because we're training the brain. We're dropping it off in lower beta, and then the brain will regulate back to your perfect brainwave state. And so, when you think about that, you don't want to drink coffee first thing in the morning because then you're training your neurology to be biologically dependent. But our electrical system, as chiropractors, the electrical system is infinite. The biological system is finite. So we want to use the electrical system. We have this parasympathetic and sympathetic drive. And when you drink coffee, you're actually shutting down the natural processes because the brain goes, wait a minute, they're doing this for me. I don't have to do it anymore. And then you stumble to the coffee pot in the morning. I like coffee. And if I do drink it, it's going to be around 10 o'clock, when I take my first morning break or something like that. But I don't need it. You know what I mean? I can go a day or two and I'm not like got the shakes. Like I see some people can't function, they're going to have to run out and get coffee first thing in the morning.
Wow. That's fascinating.
That's interesting. You said that too, because I had stopped drinking coffee several weeks ago, just to be able to give myself a break, give my adrenals a break. And I've recently restarted it. However, what I found is I'm not drinking anywhere close to as much as what I was drinking before. And when I wasn't and brain tapping every day, I still had plenty of energy without needing that. So that was great. So I've now trained myself brain tap instead of having the coffee, which is great. And then as soon as I complete my brain tap session, I'm able to literally just hop up and get started with my day. And that's when I'll go do my workout, get outside, get my exercise, get my movement in. So for me, it's become like the perfect recipe to be able to get my day started. The next phase for me is going to be brain tapping before I go to bed. I haven't implemented that yet. And so I think that's going to be the next phase for me. But
a lot of people will do it in the afternoon because our temperature drops 2 degrees around 2 o'clock. So they get tired, and that's when a lot of people will drink coffee or tea or chocolate, and they'll eat foods that they wouldn't normally eat to try to give themselves energy. And really what your body needs is a reboot. It's kind of like, unfortunately, our body works like those old Microsoft systems where you can fix about everything with a good reboot, so that's what with the body, if we can get it to reboot. And we proved this actually with Kansas City Sport when we showed them that after a workout. So now that we're working with Tom Brady in the TB12 group, we showed them that recovery happens after the workout. And so they can have more energy, because a lot of times they were making bad choices because their energy is low. Energy is key. If we can keep the energy up, we can make really good decisions. especially like with your program. When I was on your program, that's when I said, hey man, we need to do something to brain tap it. And I was using my weight loss series. And I said, I'm going to create a series to work with that because it's very specific, and you got to stay there's no cheating, right? You got to, if you do it the way you say, it's like magic. It works, and like I was telling you, my daughter who I think she's lost close to 60 pounds now.
Yeah.
She is loving it. She was just out here visiting us and she's still eating pretty much the way that you trained her because she has no body aches. She's basically, she's a massage therapist. And so she works her body pretty hard working as a massage therapist. And she used to just go home and kind of, crash after a day of massaging people. Okay. Now she has energy and it's easy because she can pack her food and eat healthy instead of running over to the junk food places that are around her work. And to me, I didn't know if it was going to work or not because, she had some pretty bad habits, and even though she didn't believe she did, you could see it as a parent. And now, the nice thing is once you do it, even for just a week, you start to feel the inflammation go down. You start to feel the energy go up. And I tell people when somebody said, what is it like? I said, well, just watch I Love Lucy or something like that. You'll get an idea because we eat way too much. And so you got to work on your brain because as Americans anyway, we're conditioned to think a good meal is one that's full of the plate's full, and we can go back for seconds. That tells you it's a good meal. It's not, is it nutritious? Is it, nutrient dense, and things of that nature? Is it got live food with it? And even though she was brought up, knowing these things, she kind of rebelled a little bit, thinking she could get away with eating junk. And she would tell you that she wasn't really eating poorly, but she just wasn't eating the balanced foods like you train people to do. And she loves the minerals too. I mean, she's been loving that at night because minerals are so important at night when you go to sleep. And we've known that for years, but we'd never had a technology like what you put together with your supplements.
No, that's huge. In fact, I had messaged Cherie recently and she said still to this day, she does not have any gout, which is so cool and definitely a sign of reduced inflammation and getting those right nutrients. But you glossed over something there, Patrick. You kind of just threw out TB12 and just kept moving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of like a big deal.
Yeah, we have Tom Brady and his group signed an exclusive agreement with us to bring us into sport. And and he's brought us into some other people too, because he's, he runs around with people that are famous. I've not been invited on his jet yet, but he is using BrainTap. And they're actually starting a new division called TBRX. Okay. And we're going to be working with recovery. They call it prehab, which I think is a pretty cool thing. And they love his science officer has been using it, Dr. Peter Cummings, who's a medical doctor, and then Alex Guerrero, who's his PT. They've been using BrainTap. So they basically reached out to me and said, hey, can we represent you to the sports world? And of course, who's going to say no to Tom Brady? So there you go.
Unless you're Giselle, probably nobody.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know that they'd be talking at all right now either,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe the only person. So that's okay. So I'm curious then, even for my own personal use, to our audience, what would be like the perfect rhythm or maybe the perfect cocktail first thing in the morning, sometime midday, and then when in the evening, like how far out before you would try to go to sleep?
Well, a lot of people will not use the light visor at night because it depends. You have to practice with it. We do have about 90% doing it, but we have a small group that only uses the app because it depends on how much energy it brings into the body. But when we did our sleep study with the coal miners in Australia, they listened 3 times a day. And they didn't have the app, they didn't have the headset at home. So they only did the app at home. Right before they went to bed, they put it in their ears. I tell people the average American will hit their snooze 3 times. So why not hit your BrainTap in the morning? Instead of hitting your snooze, you'll wake up with energy. And then in the middle of the day, or when you get home from work, a lot of people, they get home from work, they just crash in front of the TV. Instead of doing that, just pull out your BrainTap or your app, put it on, do a reboot, and you'll have energy. We showed at Kansas City Sport, what I was talking about is that you would have about a 30% boost in neurological energy just by doing that right after a practice. So we've been finding people doing that quite often. And then at night, it downregulates the nervous system. So but the morning sessions are just as important for sleep. You know, a lot of people will just use the sleep sessions before bed and they're not getting the recovery that we want. So I said, well, your brain's still dysregulated in the morning. And, you know, there's all these things that are happening biologically to us. And if we can just settle down, be calm, relaxed, and get the brain to reboot, the brain and the body are designed to heal. So we just have to get in that right physiological state. And it needs to be, we need to disrupt that stress that we're all under, you know, and of course, turn off the news after 6 o'clock, you know, don't, you know, unless you're too happy, then turn it on and, you know, get a little depressed.
You get depressed.
Right. But if you want to stay happy, just turn that, you know, turn that news off. You can listen to it in the morning, find out what's going on, but I don't recommend it because we've all fallen asleep. In the nighttime. It's really important before sleep, what we think, because it goes right into our subconscious and becomes part of our dream sequence. Most people have fallen asleep on the couch to a war movie, and then they find themselves in the middle of that war during their dreams. It's because the subconscious is trying to figure out, based on the last pieces of information, what was going on. That's why I always recommended with my clients, take out a book. We always gave them a book when they joined, because some people just don't buy books. And we said, take out a book, read a couple passages right before bed, or even a quote book if you need to. And those thoughts get in your mind, and then they start playing out while you sleep. And it really works out some positive. And that's why if you listen to BrainTap, one of the positive affirmation sessions, you'll get positive information while you dream.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. One of the things that you inspired us to do, even with the affirmations through the BrainTap, is to actually write a book with happy, healthy affirmations that you read. Read through it every day, 3 times a day, in the morning as soon as, you know, after you wake up, then at lunchtime, again, right before you go to bed, because of the importance of that. So we appreciate you for inspiring us to do that for sure. Now, let's talk a little bit about then, you know, obviously we talked about BrainTap, how it helps with metabolism, but let's talk a little bit about your journey, how we got connected, and what you learned about Happy Healthy and how it's been able to help you as well.
Well, when I was going to an event, we were there a couple of times. I'm seeing these people stand up and say, hey, I lost 30 pounds, lost 40 pounds. I'm going, damn, I got to do something, you know? And back when I used to own my franchise, which was a weight loss franchise, I was always under 200 pounds, no problem, you know, because you're in front of people every day and you can't be overweight. But I sold that company in 2002. And just like all my clients, I started making excuses. You know, oh, I'm traveling. Oh, I can't do this. And I loved eating out at restaurants with you two. You inspired me to be more like my wife. My wife never eats off the menu. You know, it's always got to be something different. And you did the same thing. And I always thought, no, I'm not going to mess with anything. I'm going to just, but you inspired me. And then when I saw some people, and then of course, Del Bigtree and his partner, we made a commitment. Hey, we're going to do this together. Now I've done it twice, so I've done pretty well. Lost just about 50 pounds. And I'd really, my wife said, hey, you could do to lose 15 more. You know, she's getting greedy.
I love it.
But funny how our significant others can say that to us, right?
Yeah.
You can't say it to them.
I was just in California where they had saw me after I had lost the first 20 or 25 pounds. I can't remember what it was. And then they said, man, you keep losing weight. What's going to happen? I said, but I'm just been on maintenance. I still do the intermittent fasting. I don't eat till 1 o'clock. I eat in a 6-hour window. And for me, I think that's going to keep me thin. The rest, I love that when people online are challenging me, well, no, you got to keep it off now, you know, and things like that. And what Cherie, you know, for me, now that I have a partner in it, which I recommend everybody do it, you know, Del was good too. I mean, we did pretty well together, but when you have your daughter and she came out to visit and we could eat the same meals, I said, hey, let's just eat our 3 meals like we would if we were on the program. And so, of course, we could eat a little bit more because we're not actually on the program. But I was only eating fish on mine because of when I took your test, which I think was good. She could eat other things like lamb, I think, and some red meat and things like that. But I don't do so well on those. And I also found out through this that I can't eat chicken. Because when I went back, you know, you said we introduced foods. And so I found some trigger foods that I just avoid. And they were foods that like everybody eats all the time.
Yeah.
That are supposedly healthy, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be healthy. And so, you know, I think that just having that balance, and now I make sure that I get my greens, you know, and I get my, you know, my vegetables, I get my protein. I mean, only at shows that are really late. A lot of shows run really late, so I have to eat late at night, but then I just don't eat till 3 o'clock. If I know that I'm going to be staying up late, if I can plan it, I'll try to eat in that window. And I always try to eat, if I can, before the sun goes down, because I heard that from somebody too, and that seemed to be really good for me. And I think that it's so easy. I mean, when I tell people this is easy because you're not doing anything, and I brought my resistance bands with me and worked out, so I had energy. Nobody knew it, and I lost that weight, by the way, traveling almost every weekend and eating
I was
out.
going to ask you that, because you're one of the most busiest guys on the planet. You're always on the go. You're always traveling, and you were able to do this on your busy schedule.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when I told Cynthia, goes, you can lose that 15 pounds because you're going back on the road for, 6 straight weeks. I'm home for 4 days of that. I'm gone usually 3 days. But for me, it's easier on the road because I basically stop by Whole Foods or a grocery store when I arrive in the city. I make sure I tell them that I have medicine, that I need a refrigerator. If the room doesn't have a refrigerator, they bring one in for me, and then I just eat the meals, and it's so simple. And a lot of times I just eat those meals. I eat that meal probably once a day. I still eat your meal, the meal that I was eating on the plan, because it's good tasting. I can add a little bit more flavor to it now because I'm not on the actual diet part of it. And then I also bought a travel scale, so I never get off track. And I noticed that there's certain foods, like I love to eat Indian food or Thai food, but I limit that to 1 time a month now, because I notice when I eat those foods, because I'm weighing myself every day, the next day I'd gain 3 to 5 pounds. Now that's impossible, right? But the inflammation comes up, and you get that trapped plasma protein, the water follows, all that. I know all that science behind it, and I'm going, damn. But I used to eat that almost every week. My body never got a chance to recover. And what I noticed was that I could do the intermittent fasting the next day, and my inflammation went right away. And it's just a super plan. And anybody who's out there who's ever struggled with weight, and it's affordable because the food is available at any grocery store, and you can, it's easy to prepare. And I've encouraged so many people to do it, and everybody I've encouraged has done really well with it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And that's why, we love what it is that we do, and we love the results that you got. And one of the things that we're doing right now, so that other people can be able to get those same results and get on the happy, healthy train, we've got a challenge that's coming out. So for all of the listeners that are out there, we've got the Happy, Healthy, Thin Challenge, which we're going to be spending 4 days going in there, going into a Facebook group live. We're going to be live on Zoom, where we're going to be giving our very best when it comes to teaching you how to lose weight fast and how to keep it off by healing your metabolism. So that starts August the 28th. So anybody that's listening, go to h2thinchallenge.com to get registered for that. That way you can be able to get the same benefits that Patrick got also. So and I'm going to ask you a question here as we're getting ready to wrap up. But So Patrick, how can the listeners find you? How can they get in touch with BrainTap? How can they get more information about it? How can they get a unit? How do they get the app? What do they need to do?
Yeah, they can go to any of the social medias at Dr. Patrick Porter, and they can go back in time and see the Fat Patrick if they want. What's going on. There's still some pictures there that I'm not too pleased about. I asked them if they could get AI to make me thin again, but
you got to update all of your pictures. I've seen a few of you. I'm like, Patrick doesn't look like that anymore.
No, I have people go. I had somebody say to me at a conference once, they go, usually people show up and they look a lot older or worse than their pictures they send. She goes, you need to give us another picture. And so I did get some new pictures taken for these talks and things, but they can always go to braintap.com. We always have a 14-day trial. And part of that, you'll notice on the first screen of BrainTap, we have the Happy, Healthy, Thin program, because I'm always recommending it. And people were asking me where it's at. And I said, just put it on the front screen so people see it. So, and people are using it without joining. I said, they go, how do I lose weight? I go, you got to get a hold of them. That's what we're telling you. You need the whole program, but you can't. I think that one of the things I like is it's very comprehensive, and anybody who's out there just wondering they need the support, I'm going to encourage you. You guys were always available to me and to Cherie, And a few other people that I've referred, they said, you guys are always available. And I love that you're doing the challenge, because people can do this together, in like I did with Al Bigtree and some other people. I thought it was great to do that together, and just to kind of be a little competitive, because I am a little that way. So that's good.
Absolutely. And if I didn't already say it, to reiterate, the challenge is actually free. So people get all of our best content and not have to pay, because we just have a heart for wanting to help people and get people as healthy as possible.
Yeah, it's never been more important for sure. In a world now, as we know, man, they're sick, depressed, overweight, medicated, and really hurting. These type technologies and this type of content and support is vital. So we just love and appreciate you, Patrick, man. You're one of the good ones, man. And thank you for trusting us with Happy Healthy. We love BrainTap. We love you. And we're always in your corner, my brother.
Yep. So last question.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. So here's the last question. We ask all our guests the same question. So for you then, Patrick, how would you define living happy, healthy?
I think it's being able to do the things you love to do without reservation. When you're overweight or you're in pain, you always have to think about things. And I think when you can just do the things, because I always tell people happiness is happenings. When a series of happenings are positive, you have happiness. When you're not happy with what's happening, you become depressed and angry and upset. So I think that, what you provided me, I didn't even know it. And I bet if we had people take the depression score, even people that didn't say it, when you're carrying all that weight, I mean, when I think about it, 50 pounds on my back. I used to run track, and I used to use a 40-pound weight jacket. And I used to feel so good when I took that off. And I was running around 50 pounds all the time. That's and everybody said I had a lot of energy. Now I've got a ton of energy, more, and it's just easier to be happy when you have energy.
Agreed.
Well
Thank
said,
you,
sir.
Yeah, well said. So go check out Patrick at BrainTap.com. Go to all the social media, the app, download that app. At least get the app.
At a minimal,
at a minimal, you won't be sorry. And being able to start your day. And now, like I said, I'm going to start finishing my day with that as well. So Patrick, enjoy your beautiful surroundings. Yep. We can't wait to come visit you there, and have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being on.
All right, thank you, and good luck with that,
Patrick.
Challenge.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life, or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.